By midday on the 6th of January this year, the average FTSE 100 CEO had already earned more than you will earn for the entire rest of 2026. Not the whole year, before lunch, on the 6th of January. That is not a typo. That is not an exaggeration. That is the verified pay ratio between the average FTSE 100 CEO and the average UK worker in 2026. The median FTSE 100 CEO earns £4.4 million a year. The median full-time UK worker earns £39,039. That's a pay ratio of 113 to 1. But numbers that big can feel abstract. So let's make it personal. A FTSE 100 CEO earns around £1,353 every hour, nearly £23 every minute. You work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The CEO earned your entire week's pay before finishing lunch on Monday. You're sitting in traffic. They're earning. You're answering emails. They're earning. You're making a coffee. They're earning. You go to bed on Friday night. You wake up on Saturday morning. In that one night's sleep, they've earned more than the average worker earns in a month. The gap isn't yearly, it's hourly, minute by minute. And that's where the story gets even more interesting. Because most people think CEOs are simply paid enormous salaries. They're not. Most of their compensation comes from shares, bonuses, and long-term incentive plans. That's a different type of income. And when those shares are eventually sold, the profits can be taxed under capital gains rules, typically 18 to 24%. Not income tax rates of up to 45%. Most people think the story ends with a bigger pay packet. It doesn't. Because the money isn't just earned differently, it's taxed differently. The CEO isn't just earning more, they're often keeping more of what they earn as a percentage too. And once you see that, a lot of the system suddenly makes more sense. We spend endless time talking about how much people make. Far less time talking about how different forms of income are treated. Work and wealth don't always play by the same rules. But here's the part most people miss entirely. This isn't really a story about CEOs. It's a story about assets. The system that creates these gaps operates on one principle. Assets tend to grow differently from wages. CEOs are heavily paid in assets. Most workers are heavily paid in wages. That's the distinction. And understanding that distinction is useful, because the tools available to ordinary people are designed to bridge that gap. Your pension, your ISA, index funds, salary sacrifice. They're all mechanisms for turning today's wages into tomorrow's assets. I'm not saying the gap is fair. I'm not saying you'll become a FTSE 100 CEO. I'm saying that understanding the rule is more valuable than being shocked by the result. Because once you understand how wealth is built, you can start applying the same principle in your own life, even on a much smaller scale. The real divide isn't rich versus poor, it's assets versus wages. One final thought. If your income stops when you stop working, you're selling time. If your assets keep growing while you sleep, you're building wealth. That's the difference.